former head of Britain's armed forces has said he expects a thorough investigation after the BBC found evidence that the SAS had executed detainees and murdered unarmed people in Afghanistan. Lord Richards, the Chief of Defence Staff at the time, said the allegations were worrying and he had no doubt his successor would want to investigate them. The BBC's Panorama discovered that one unit killed 54 people in suspicious circumstances. The Ministry of Defence says it will always hold UK troops to the highest standards and that they served with courage and professionalism in Afghanistan. Richard Bilton has this report.
The kill or capture raids happen most nights. The SAS were hunting for bomb makers, but something went wrong. What we have found suggests a pattern of deliberate killings.
We've spoken to eyewitnesses who were on some of these night raids. Now, they don't want to be identified, but they say they saw unarmed Afghans being shot dead by British Special Forces.
Panorama obtained military reports that show people were repeatedly shot dead after surrendering to the SAS in 2010 and 2011. We looked at one SAS tour and identified 54 suspicious killings in just 6 months. This isn't just rogue troops on the ground. Our evidence shows that those at the very top of Special Forces were warned.
One of my team, an officer, has been told that there is in effect an unofficial policy to kill wherever possible fighting-age males on target.
What is extraordinary is senior officers didn't report the allegations to the Royal Military Police, but kept evidence in a secret classified file. There was another opportunity for Special Forces to come clean. General Sir Mark Carleton-Smith, who stepped down as head of the Army last month, became head of Special Forces in 2012. Our evidence suggests he too failed to disclose the information about war crimes. He didn't respond to our questions, and the Ministry of Defence said it can't comment for legal reasons. Today, the MOD said, "We believe that BBC Panorama's episode about SAS operations in Afghanistan jumps to unjustified conclusions from allegations that have already been fully investigated." But military investigators who worked on the main investigation into war crimes in Afghanistan have told us they were stopped from getting to the truth.
It became increasingly clear to me that it didn't matter what evidence we were able to gather. These cases were never going to be allowed to go to court.
We showed our evidence to General Sir David Richards, who was head of the entire armed forces during the time we investigated. In a statement, he said, "Given the compelling nature of the programme, if I was still Chief of the Defence Staff, I would order a thorough investigation of the events portrayed. I have no doubt that Admiral Radakin, the current Chief of the Defence Staff, will do this." The Ministry of Defence says military police will consider any allegations should new evidence come to light. But some believe it is time to look again at the behaviour of SAS death squads that arrived in the night. Richard Bilton, BBC News.
And Jackie, a parallel investigation going on down in Fulton County, Georgia. A judge in Georgia now has ordered Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina to testify next month before a special grand jury investigating former President Trump's alleged attempts to overturn the 2020 election results in that state. The judge declared the Republican senator a necessary and material witness to the investigation. Graham's office did not respond to a request for comment. The senator's attorneys did say last week he would not comply with a subpoena issued by the grand jury. So, Jackie, more intrigue here now down in the state of Georgia, specifically in Fulton County, as the DA there looks at what the Trump campaign did, what some of his supporters may have done, what some of his aides, someone like Lindsey Graham, for example, may have done in calling Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State there, and asking him to look again at some absentee ballots.
This parallel track investigation, Willie, has actually been far more aggressive than what we've seen coming out of the Department of Justice. And if you talk to those who are close to the committee or just constitutional experts, legal experts, people who have been watching this closely, they have pinned the Atlanta case and Fannie Willis as someone who is most likely to lodge ultimate criminal charges against some of the players involved. And if you look at Georgia, it was really ground zero for some of these electoral schemes that the president and his allies were trying to implement, things like the alternate slate of electors. We reported on most recently, it was a secret meeting that was held and facilitated by the Trump campaign in order to actually put together this alternate slate of electors. We learned that some of these people who were involved with that scheme were actually recently subpoenaed by this investigation to appear before the grand jury. And now they're moving up the totem pole and most recently, obviously, have secured potentially Lindsey Graham. We'll see, though, if this further escalates, if he declines to actually materialize for this appearance. But the way that these other criminal investigations has been working is sort of all aligned. They're gradually, incrementally working their way up towards the former president as they get more information from these smaller fish who were really doing the bidding of the Trump campaign.
All right, the Washington Post, Jackie Alamany, thank you very much for being on this morning. We'll be watching today. And
Brian Claypool is a criminal defense lawyer, and he joins us with more. All right, Brian, thanks, first of all, for your hard work and filing this motion for us. What should we expect in terms of next steps?
Yeah, Jesse, great to be back with you. And who knows, maybe Bocelli was serving that wine on May 28th at that party that Paul was at, right? But look, yeah, exactly. Look, we're filing a motion because our legal system, and by the way, I applaud Fox, your show, your viewers, and this is bigger than even your viewers. Viewers on CNN and MSNBC, they should be joining the parade too. Why? Because this motion and what you're trying to accomplish is about one thing: equal and fair justice for all, not some preferential treatment for high-powered Democrats who live in Napa Valley. That's what this is really about. And to break it down for your viewers in a nutshell, we're filing a motion to ask the court to force CHP and to force Napa DA to give us the dash cam footage, give us the CHP report. And by the way, the burden is on them to show the court why they should not. They've been flipping you off. They've been flipping me off. I sent them a letter saying, hey, let's work this out. Here's why you should give it to us. They just ignore us. But guess what? When the Pelosi's get back in town, the court's going to have the motion, and then the DA and the CHP are going to have to meet me in court sometime probably in about 45 days.
All right. And I guess he has to be in court on August 3rd. So he might get arraigned, and we'll still, no matter what happens to him, I believe, still get this footage because there's no way they can hide it legally. I don't care what they try to say. They can't hide it. So it's basically a waiting game now, is it not?
Yeah, that's a great point. Let me address that for your viewers. The CHP, the Napa DA, these laws, by the way, the Privacy Acts to get the Public Records Act to get the documents, they exist everywhere. And you can't just say, I'm not giving you those documents. There has to be a specific exemption under what's called the California Government Code that allows you to not give it. Jesse, there's 17 of those, right? And guess what? There's 0 exemptions for dash cam footage and 0 exemptions for the CHP report. So let's see what they come up with. And yes, there's going to be a hearing on August 3rd. And guess what? One last point. The Napa DA coming out a couple weeks ago with this press release, oh, we need to protect, you know, the privacy of Mr. Pelosi. We need to preserve a fair trial. That's a bunch of garbage. Why? Because 99.9%, Jesse, of misdemeanor DUI cases are pled out. They're settled out of court. there's never a jury trial. So they're trying to bury this. They'll settle the case with Pelosi and hope that you, Fox, and the world doesn't get that footage.
Yeah, well, we're going to get it unless she has the judge in her back pocket, too, which is possible. You never know. All right, Brian, thanks again, as always. You're doing great work for us and for the entire country.
You bet. Yeah, thanks, Jesse.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
And one more item. After our last hearing, President Trump tried to call a witness in our investigation, a witness you have not yet seen in these hearings. That person declined to answer or respond to President Trump's call and instead alerted their lawyer to the call. Their lawyer alerted us, and this committee has supplied that information to the Department of Justice. Let me say one more time, we will take any effort to influence witness testimony very seriously. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Today's many things is proof that despite the naysayers, we can make meaningful progress on dealing with gun violence. Because make no mistake, sit down, you'll hear what I have to say. If you think you let me finish my comment. Let him talk. Let him talk. No one, okay? Because make no mistake about it. This legislation is real progress, but more has to be done. The provision of this new legislation is going to save lives, and it's proof that today's politics, we can come together on a bipartisan basis to get important things done, even on an issue as tough as guns.